a Netflix original film.
The Wi-Fi isn't working.
In the event of a global communications breakdown, do the following. Stay inside.
What just happened here is happening everywhere.
Avoid strangers.
We've all been deserted.
I don't trust them.
And most importantly, do not panic. Julia Roberts.
What happens next?
Mahershala Ali.
I knew something was coming.
Leave the World Behind. Rated R. In select theaters now and on Netflix December 8th.
Yo, before we get into it, in yesterday's episode, we talked all about the governor's decision to pause construction at a tent camp for new arrivals in Brighton Park. Guess what? The state has decided it will not move forward with the plan at all now due to environmental concerns. Remember, this is just days after the city said the site was safe and began construction. And of course, dropped that little 800-page environmental assessment on us. This is a clear setback for the mayor's plans. Keep up with this ever-changing story by subscribing to our newsletter, Hey Chicago, at chicago.citycast.fm. If you're not caught up, listen to our episodes from Tuesday and last Friday. Today on CityCast Chicago, 'tis the season to snuggle up with a mug of something warm, some tasty baked goods, and maybe if you're interested, get a little baked ourselves. Come on, you know what I'm talking about. That's why I've asked master pastry chef and edibles trailblazer Mindy Siegel to give us her recommendations for cannabis treats this holiday season, including tips for the home bakers, like myself. It's Wednesday, December 6th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about. Mindy Siegel is one of Chicago's most recognizable chefs, a master pastry chef, the owner of Mindy's Bakeries, and the namesake behind Mindy's world's best tasting edibles. And I've had them and I can vouch. Mindy, welcome to CityCast Chicago.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for saying those wonderful things about me.
No, we are so excited to have you here. You got the apron on. You are at work.
I'm at work.
Let's start somewhere simple, right? What do you think is the best sort of holiday cannabis experience? Even if we're not thinking edibles, is it seeing lights? Is it chilling at a party? Like, what's the perfect blend for you of those two things?
Well, nothing screams Christmas to me and holiday to me than sitting in my backyard, okay? Because I did this on purpose. I redid my backyard 2 years ago, and I literally bought a 20-foot pine tree. And the reason why I bought this was because I wanted to have a Christmas tree every year outside.
Come on.
I have a fire pit. And what I do is nothing screams Christmas and cold and fun than sitting around the fire in December, putting lights on the Christmas tree and drinking a hot toddy and smoking a joint.
Come on.
Nothing.
I love your energy and the idea that you designed the backyard, not only for the tree to get that Christmas spirit, get the holiday lights going year round, but also you knew in mind, you was like, we gonna sit around this boy and cool out and chill.
Yeah. And I love it. It's like really special to me. So, but also I love eating edibles and I love doing something with edibles. And, you know, it's always nice when people come over, because I do entertain a lot, is just having that little canister sitting somewhere and just like, you know, it's for you. Come on, enjoy.
That's my favorite. I love to put out a little plate of joints. That's my thing.
I know. Or edibles.
I mean, you talk about your love for edibles and hosting, but I mean, not many award-winning chefs, at least the time when you had done it, had jumped into the cannabis game, and you did it 8-9 years ago. What made you get into it? Was it the love? Was it the market? What were you thinking?
I thought that, you know, at the time that we were becoming legal with medicinal marijuana, my father was very sick, and I wanted to help people. Basically, I wanted to, you know, I started thinking about, well, why am I in the restaurant industry? Why am I a chef? Why do I cook? Well, I do it because I want to make people happy. And I love doing things for people. And I get obsessed over it. And so I thought that, like, well, Cresco and I thought, like, if I could have a brand that was with my name on it, people would feel comfortable. Well, she does it and she has a business and she's successful. So maybe, I'll take her edibles. It wasn't a business decision. It was like a heart decision, like an empathy decision. I wanted to help people. It's like people have cancer, people are sick, people can't eat. They can eat an edible, they get hungry. It's like so many things.
Yeah.
People with eating disorders, people with ADHD. It's just everything.
People with anxiety, people with existential dread, people who just
Yeah.
want it. And
Want to eat edibles.
exactly. I mean, with that spirit of helping people, when you started to think about the edibles you like, the edibles you want to make for people, right? For some people, taste is key. For some people, it's the punch. What was most important in your work?
Well, first of all, obviously, the taste journey was very important to me. So, I created these flavors, and it's just like the process was fun, and everything really revolved around like things that I make for dessert.
Let's get some examples in here. What were those testing samples? What are the things you wanted to freak?
When I did the ideation with the team at Cresco to come up with these flavors, I invited them into hot chocolate and I made dessert. And I made dessert to to prove my case of why I wanted this flavor. So in other words, like the cherries, it's like everybody has a cherry flavored gummy, but they all taste like medicine. So I was like, well, what if we had a cherry that was poached in like red wine and had vanilla and, like tasted good and it tasted like a dessert. So that's what I did. And then the orange, I made vanilla bean, like orange tangerine sorbet. I made a raspberry, like a berry crisp.
And were these desserts on their own, no CBD, no THC?
Yeah, just me making desserts.
Okay. So you started with the flavors.
Yeah, and then we started with flavor. And then, we discussed having these be microdosed for a number of reasons. First, because everybody has a story about the time that they ate edibles and they literally had a nervous breakdown.
So when you're talking microdose, you're talking like 1 milligram, 2, 5 milligram. Some people eat that 20 or that 50 the first time. They eat half of it and go, you know what? This brownie doing nothing to me. They eat the other half. And there's the horror story.
Well, everybody has a different tolerance. And so I wanted it to be like, well, we started out with 5 milligrams. So if you've never done it before, eat half of it and then just have the evening as the evening. Don't go and eat another half. Just do that. And then the next time, well, I'll eat one, or that half was perfect for me because I also drank a bottle of champagne or whatever. And it was great. But we also wanted them to be microdosed because they're so fucking delicious.
Yes.
So for people like you who could probably take a lot, well, I'm just going to eat 5 of them because they're so good.
Yes.
And they're like candy.
Yeah, because I'm gummy bear, gummy worm central. You ask my friends, if 9 out of 10 times if you see me, you like, Kobe, you got some candy on you? Yeah, probably. Might have some minis in my bag.
Yeah, me too. I'm the same way. I love candy. We have a candy drawer at the bakery. Literally, like the kids open it and there's like all this candy in it. I do it just because I love candy.
So when you're going through these recipes, right, you're starting with the flavor. Obviously, I mean, I've had a bunch of different brands of edibles all the way down to homemade. It is really hard to get that taste of weed, of cannabis, like dulled and out of that dominant like flavor palette.
Well, there's an easy way to do it. You just have to triple distill it. You have to take the terpenes out of it so that it's just straight THC. So it's clear.
I was going to ask, could you share it? And there you go. He was like, here you go. I got you, G.
Well, it's clear, but it's expensive. If you notice, if you eat the cherry ones, or if you eat the ones that also have CBD in them, you will notice that they have a flavor because that's not triple distilled.
Mindy, I really appreciate you making time for us. This is really been fun. And we recently did an episode about potlucks. It was us with the team, and we were talking about, all right, if we had to show up to the potluck, what would be our perfect menu? Like, if you were coming with some cannabis treats to share to the party, which ones are you bringing?
Well, I'm probably making my own,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm probably just bringing brownies, to be honest with you.
The classic brownie.
Oh, an oatmeal scotchy.
What makes your brownies hit a little bit different?
What makes my brownie good? Because it's my recipe. It's my recipe. There's nothing different about it. It's just a good old fudgy, cakey, in the middle brownie, but it's delicious. And I cut them perfectly into little squares, and so that you eat one square and you're fine. Try to get it down that they're like 10 milligrams a square. It's kind of hard to figure out when you don't have calculations, but who cares?
Are you still at this point still doing? I've read your story a lot, and one of the things you did is you learned through sight. I mean, but this is such a scientific process. Does that change how you approach the kitchen?
No. You know what it's called? You know what it's called? It's called a wing and a prayer.
Come on.
Wing and a prayer, baby.
Hey, you figured it out to this point. The second thing you said outside of the classic brownie was an oatmeal scotchy.
Yeah, no, or an oatmeal. Those are the two things I put marijuana in.
What is an oatmeal scotchy?
It's like an oatmeal raisin cookie, but it's really flat and crispy and gorgeous and delicious and lovely and great. I had some dosed chocolate that I had, and this was during Passover because I'm Jewish, and I decided to make a flourless chocolate cake with my dosed chocolate, and then I had some left over, so I served it with dipped strawberries that were with the dosed chocolate. And it was really funny because I brought it to my friend's house. It was just like me and three other people. And we took a spoonful of the cake, and it was really good. So we took like a couple, spoonfuls. We got so high. And it was so much fun. It was the funnest time.
I was going to say Passover for the books.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, so obviously you've got your own recipes that you make, but say you're in a time crunch, right? You're a very busy person. If you had to buy something, outside of your own namesake, do you have a favorite edible?
I like Kiva's gummies. I think they're very good. I like the other brands that Cresco carries, the Wonder and the, Good News gummies. Mostly because I like CBN, and my gummies don't have CBN in them. And I love CBN, and I take them at night, fall asleep.
Some people here in the conversation, they might be familiar with THC or CBD. What is CBN?
CBN is another cannabinoid. And it's like CBG, CBN. There's a lot of cannabinoids. And so the THC is the psychoactive cannabinoid, but then there's CBD and CBN, and CBN has a property in it that puts you to sleep.
I mean, when you're thinking about infusing a classic treat with cannabis, like if I go and grab your cookbook, Cookie Love, right? Is it as simple as following your recipe and then throwing some concentrate or throwing some butter in? Is it that simple?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
The answer is yes. What would be your tips for home bakers then? Because you want people to, like, again, eat. Maybe they're not working with triple distillate, right? They only got like
I mean, you can buy it you can buy oil at a dispensary,
mm-hmm.
and you can just put it in your cookies or your whatever. The more fat that a chocolate has, the more difficult it is to temper chocolate with the oil. It reacts weird. So you have to use something. You have to use a conduit like coconut oil, like that. But other than that, I mean, like putting it in cookie dough is easy. But you make butter.
Do you prefer oils, tinctures, butters? Do you have a go-to?
Well, I like butter when I'm making my own at home. I like butter. And I like the process. I like my process.
Like of going all the way through and making the butter too?
Yeah. Yeah. Which is,
I love making butter.
yeah, I do too. And I I don't know if I necessarily, I've tried multiple ways. You can tell me what you do, but I've tried the crock pot. I've tried slow boil, then, setting and then sort of like straining out that's a long process, but I don't have that magic butter machine. Do you have that machine?
I don't. I like a stovetop and a mason jar.
You're old school. Okay. Okay. So tell me what you do.
Oh man. First, I'm going to slow bake my flour.
Oh, you winterize it.
Yep. Then I'm going to put it with the butter in the mason jar on the stove for a nice slow boil. I don't know, maybe a little over an hour 10, hour 15, check in on it. After that, once I get closer to a color I like, then I'm straining out with cheesecloth.
Yeah.
Letting it set for a while, and then kind of hopefully I've got my desired color.
Yeah. It's very important to not heat it on high or get it up above, what is it, like 250?
Exactly. I bake in the oven on probably like a 215, 220 for a good 30, 40 minutes. But keep everything low and slow.
See, I don't winterize my my shake, I guess. I should. I just don't.
Because it's going to kill the house. It's going to, everything in the house is going to smell like it. It's the smelliest part of the whole process.
Yeah, but so what? It smells good. My house smells like weed anyway, so what's the point? It's different.
My entire building would, does at that point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you talked about sitting outside in front of the pine with the family. I know a lot of people might be looking to make a stressful holiday gathering a little bit less stressful. What do you like for like chilling out with the family? Something that, a wide range of people can enjoy if, cannabis is something they're interested in.
Well, my entire family is stoners, so everybody brings their own weed and we all just smoke it.
My Thanksgiving have been creeping towards that. I'm not going to put them all the way out here on the podcast, but the person I love most in this world has been getting into the edible game recently. I introduced her to some Mindy's in the last couple of years, and she's older, so she still has to kind of slow play it. But now she got chocolate, she's got gummies.
I mean, my mom she partakes. Mm-hmm. In fact, it was really funny. I gave her canister, and my canisters are really hard to open. So she goes downstairs in her building, and the doorman and the manager and the maintenance guy, they're all trying to get the canister open. And finally, the maintenance guy has to like pry it open with and they're like, you know what, Shirley? That's my mom's name. She's like, we have a newfound respect for you. We're on a new level.
Obviously, you were one of the people in Chicago who, especially at a mainstream level, who's really pushing this forward in the last decade. Are there some other local chefs that people should check out?
Well, there's, I'm so bad with names. I'm so terrible. But the guy, Manny, is that his name?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He's the man.
Manny with herbal notes.
Yes. Yeah. He does a lot of stuff, and he's very involved on the legal level. He's very involved. I'm not so much, but he is, and I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, Manny Mendoza puts together. I've been lucky to have some of his sort of curated dishes. I've had some of his tacos at like a community Black and Brown Unity concert. Yeah. Definitely one of the chefs people should check out.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, so much of our conversation is around holiday treats. Have you tried infusing like full holiday meals? And if you do you have an item maybe outside of the like gummy chocolate treat? Maybe a mashed potato or a mac and cheese or infused chicken.
I don't do savory food and edibles, but if I did, I've always wanted to make brioche with canna butter and like laminate it with butter that has, you know what I mean? And like make like almost like a croissant with canna butter. So I
need my invite.
Something that like I want to do one day. It's on my bucket list of things to bake, but pastries is my thing. So that's what I usually do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, speaking of, right now, I go to your website. I can see the gummies. I can see the chocolates, the brittles. Is there a plan to expand into baked goods one day? Am I going to be able to go get a Mindy's muffin that's going to smack me? A Mindy's.
I mean, you never know. You never know. There might be some stuff, but right now I don't know what's. I mean, we've worked on some other products, but they haven't come out. It's a very saturated market. It's very expensive to produce edibles, especially state by state, because of the fact that every state has different laws and it's not federally legal yet. And if it was federally legal, it would be better and it would bring down the price. But at this juncture, I really don't know. I'm hoping one day.
Mindy Siegel, it has been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for making time for CityCast.
You have to come visit me.
I am going to pull up on you.
Okay, it's mandatory.
Yes, ma'am. As we always remind you to keep up with the biggest daily headlines, head over to our website, chicago.citycast.fm. That's also where you can subscribe to our Hey Chicago newsletter and catch up on some old podcast episodes. You know I got some good news for you. Tickets are selling fast for next week's Debauchery Ball, a celebration of art, house music, and black kink. This annual event from Chicago's disco poet Kahari B is unlike any other in the city. You can check the show notes for more information. As always, I appreciate you for listening and reading. We're going to be back bright and early tomorrow. Hopefully you'll join us. And, bring some friends, some family, some co-workers, the people you saw on the bus or the train, whatever, just some new folks. I appreciate it. Peace. Ever since I met you at the Hideout for the Axios event and got to listen to a little bit of your story, and you just seem like one of the coolest motherfuckers in Chicago. And so I really wanted to talk to you
cool.
because
My
at this
mom says so.